I hope you guys had a good run this morning. We're kind of getting spoiled to the cooler weather, so that's kind of nice. Hopefully it'll get a little bit cooler. I think we got a kind of a tease on Monday when it was like in the 40s, and then it was 85 again by the end of the week, so hopefully those are over. Today we're going to talk about heart rate monitors. Heart rate monitors is a very, very controversial subject in the world of human performance. So if you're an internet guru, you're probably going to hear a lot of conflicting information because first and foremost, there's a lot of elite coaches that say heart rate monitors, you shouldn't train with them. They say on race day, you just pull it off, go off of your gut and just go. For those of you that have heard me talk before, I always use the same analogy. It's like getting in your car here and saying you're going to drive to California and not look at any of your gauges and kind of guesstimate how to get to California. You hope you're driving your temperature gauge, your gas gauge, you won't. It's absurd, okay? I don't care if you can run a sub 3-hour marathon or if you're going to run an 8-hour marathon. Heart rate monitors are absolutely the best tool you could ever train with. If you don't have one, it's not shame on you. Most people don't know how to use them even if they bought one. Some of you may have 3 of them, you know, and still don't know how to use them, and that's fair. The thing with the heart rate monitors, you're one of 3 types of runners, okay? You're either a runner trying to lose weight, you're either a runner trying to get faster, or you're somebody who has eating disorders, and it is what it is. I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way, but as I said to you guys last week, this is my 29th year of coaching, and those are the 3 issues we see constantly, okay? The beautiful part about a heart rate monitor is it gets down to the zeros and ones of nutrition and exercise physiology. I mean, it's amazing when you think about the watches that we have. There's more memory in your watch than there were in the computers that we programmed in 2000. And it's sitting on your wrist. You think about it, it has a GPS unit in it that tells you where you ran. That used to be only accessible to the military not even 10 years ago. And that's on your wrist, okay? So the reason why I bring up the heart rate monitors is you don't need to go spend $800 on a Garmin 910 XT. Just get a basic watch that when you look down at it, you're getting a visible number, okay? If you want to get a one with all the bells and whistles, that's great, just use it. Otherwise, don't buy it, okay? But if we look at the 3 types of runners that you are, if you're trying to lose weight, this is going to be the most important thing that you'll get out of today's conversation, okay? This is what we call an energy matrix, okay? The intensity zones are based on how hard it is for you to run. This is really easy walking. This is you're doing speed work on Tuesday night at Lake Murray Track, okay? What people don't understand, and this is the part that people get mad about because it goes against everything that's on the internet, is that's where you burn fat and that's where you burn sugar, okay? So if you're telling me that you're here trying to lose weight and you're hitting up here in the intensity zones, you're doing a great job learning how to run fast, but you're not burning fat as a fuel source. So you get more and more frustrated and you think, I'm just not a runner, I'm destined to be fat. And again, I'm not trying to be condescending at all. This is a vicious cycle that everyone lives in, okay? Because the idea is, and this is where, and if you do CrossFit, great. I'm not against CrossFit, it just doesn't work, okay? The thing is the reason why CrossFit doesn't work is what they'll tell you is if you go really, really, really hard, it forces the adrenals to release more HGH, human growth hormone, which is what makes you leaner. And they're exactly right. That is not a lie. The problem is 99% of us don't get enough sleep and enough food to absorb what CrossFit puts you under. If you want to look at it from a running perspective, if we know that intervals makes you fast, then why don't you run intervals 6 days a week? Because your body can't sustain it. It's not absorbable. We talked about that last week. It's not what you do, but rather what you absorb. The heart rate monitor, remember what we talked about last week? What we found, I gave you that example when we did the field testing. Most people don't know the difference between doing speed work, intensity here, and going out for a nice easy recovery run back here. You put a heart rate monitor on the person, and I've got 6 or 7 athletes that are in this group that have walked through this. Their perception is, well, I'm at 50%. I'm going to use loose numbers. Let's say your max heart rate's 200. That's a very loose number, okay? They're going out for what they call an easy run, and their heart rate's at 188. But their perception is it's an easy run. That's why the watch is wonderful, because it doesn't care what you think. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. The watch doesn't lie. It's telling you what your heart's doing, okay? When you lock into the idea that the lower the intensity, the more fuel you'll burn in the form of fat, the higher the intensity, the more sugar you burn, you're done for today. That's all you need to go away with. My question is, how do you know what that number is? Okay? If you're an athlete that's trying to improve your speed, you need to spend 1, possibly 2 workouts a week up in this upper range, so that it's what we call lactate tolerance, okay? Don't plug your ears because it's chemistry, it's not that hard. When you burn sugar, your body releases one hydrogen ion. That ion is acidic in nature, hence the word lactic acid. It's a byproduct of burning sugar. The faster you go, the more you burn. That's why your muscles start loading up with lactic acid. That's the burn you feel. So now you guys are all chemists this morning, okay? So the higher you go on the intensity scale, the more lactic acid you burn. If you're trying to get your speed up, what is it that keeps you from being able to go fast for a long period of time? Let's say you can run an 8-minute mile when you're at the track on Tuesdays. Then why can't you run 13 or 26 at an 8-minute pace? A lot of people think, because again, if you're an internet guru, you're convinced it's because you're producing too much lactic acid. Not true. You don't have enough aerobic engine, which is developed on this side of the scale, to go fast for a long period of time. You go, okay, now I'm totally lost. You're talking about lactic acid, now you're talking about aerobic base. When I'm asking you to do an even tempo run, an easy active recovery run, everything in the 50% or below, you're building an aerobic base. You'll hear that word a lot. Build a base, build a base, build a base. Again, don't plug your ears. It's physiology 101. If you take a biopsy of the muscle, you have capillary beds. I mean, look at your arms. Look at the veins and the muscles in your arms and legs, okay? That's where the oxygen comes in, and that's where the unoxygenated blood goes out. The more blood vessels you have in a muscle tissue, the more oxygen you can get to the working muscles. And you go, so what's the big deal? So when you start to try to run fast, you can get enough oxygen to sustain it, okay? Women, you're not gonna like this, and some of you have heard this analogy before, okay? If you have a V4 engine in a car and you're driving 70 miles an hour, your engine is at 5,000 RPMs. If you drive a big old V8 Escalade at 70 miles an hour, the RPMs are gonna be at 2,000. So are you a V8 or are you a V4? Okay? If you're trying to run fast and you don't have a good aerobic engine, you're going to be redlining to go very fast and you won't be able to sustain it for very long. If you build a huge aerobic base, you're able to deliver enough oxygen where, have you ever noticed you guys feel great to a certain point and then all of a sudden you're like, boom, you blow up? Part of it is you're not strong physically. We talked about that last week. The second side of it is you don't have enough of an aerobic engine to sustain the effort that you're trying to produce. Does anybody, and be brutally honest, anybody not understand that idea? When you train long and slow, a lot of times you'll see it online, it's called LSD, long, slow distance training, okay? When we're asking you, when Julie and Jose say, today is an easy run, how do you evaluate perception of easy? Use your heart rate monitor. Guarantee you, especially for the guys, and I always bust you guys in the shins, okay, your egos are as big as Gibraltar here, okay? You don't want to listen to the number because you're thinking, oh, you guys default back to that pace is too easy. You got to put your ego aside. Let your heart rate tell you what's going on, okay? For those of you that are trying to improve your speed, you're going to love the heart rate monitor, okay? Because until you start getting into your upper ends by true number, let's say that your max heart rate's 200. You're never going to improve your lactate tolerance till you hit about a 185. So for those of you that just like to run guts to the wall all the time, the interval, if you're working with me, your interval doesn't begin until you hit 185. Now start your interval. Because if you're trying to improve that upper end speed, but your heart rate's way down here, you never improve the speed. You look real busy on the track, but you haven't gotten your ticker, your heart, into the zone that you need. Heart rate monitor will help you burn fat if that's your goal. It'll help you build speed if that's your goal. Okay?